Greetings, I am Herbert Erpaderp, and it's that time again. That's right, it's hammer time.
No, it's not.
I'm being told it is in fact not hammer time.
It's Oscar Herbert Erpaderp time with you, Herbert Erpaderp, you idiot.
It's apparently Ask a Herbert Erpaderp time with me, Herbert Erpaderp. Well, that's okay too, I guess. Finally, something different for background video this week. First, some War Thunder, and later, some World of Warships, which means I've played both games recently. This means you can expect to see videos from both games at some point. I've got to say, War Thunder took a little bit to get used to playing again, and it was a little bit frustrating to play at times. My crew all seem to get knocked out as soon as anybody even thinks about looking at my tank, and as far as I can tell, all I can do about it is wait and watch the enemy pick my tank apart. Also, you don't seem to be able to zoom in quite as much as I remember you could, which does make shooting at long distance a little bit more tricky. I could just be misremembering though. Oh well, it's only a game, and of course it has its flaws. It's about the same as World of Tanks. Both games have issues, but both are fun. I know making comments like that upsets some people, and that's kind of funny. World of Warships is pretty much as I remember it. I find it to be a good game to sit back and just kind of enjoy. It's not especially intense, but there's still all the fun of explosions. Good times. Anyway, onwards to questions and comments. Robsalot says, you mentioned doing research for projects and searching the web for images etc. I have a tip for you to get good results quickly. Consider using Pinterest. I have a Pinterest account, and it's easy to search and find whole collections of great images for painting guides or for inspiration in other aspects of modelling. You can save them all for future use too, and even make your own custom collections as a resource. I hope that helps. That's something that never occurred to me. Even though quite often when searching Google Images, it provides results that are on Pinterest. I have created myself a Pinterest now. I haven't actually used it, but I think I will next time I feel the need to search for something tank or modelling related. I think Tumblr might also be a good resource for this kind of thing. I made one a while ago and there was a bunch of tank stuff on there. Then I just kind of forgot about it. I'm not very good at social media things like that, I guess. Thanks for the suggestion. Jacob says, Girls und Panzer is a slightly inaccurate tank anime, but I'm sure you'll like it. I did, and the British team you're referring to is the St. Gloria's Tank Academy. Well, actually... It's actually St. Gloriana, and I was reminded of this by the next comment. I have actually seen Girls und Panzer, and I did rather enjoy it. I think the tanks are really nicely drawn, which is what appealed to me the most. Also, driving tanks as a school sport is a hilarious concept. I'm not sure anyone would go to Girls und Panzer looking for accurate and realistic tank stuff, and if they did, they should be laughed at. But the tanks are very nicely drawn. Yet another scout says, building some British tanks with the St. Gloriana markings is something I want to do as well. However, I can't find any plastic Churchill 7s in 15mm, so I may make an exception and build some by the Plastic Soldier Company and mark them up. I see no reason why St. Gloriana wouldn't have other Churchills, but this is my excuse anyway. If you ever do any Girls und Panzer style projects, I would love to see them. Keep being awesome, Herbert. I will. I guess a Churchill 7 is pretty hard to pass off with the Plastic Soldier Company kit. The turret just looks so different. Battlefront do make a resin and metal version, but I can totally understand why you would prefer plastic. I'm not aware of one in plastic either, which is a bit of a shame. Somebody should make one. Art Nichols quoted me saying, because replacing batteries is a pain in the dick, and adds, haha, I think you're changing your batteries incorrectly. Well, maybe. I have done things wrong before, and it's entirely possible that I'm installing batteries wrong too. But I couldn't think of any other way, and nobody told me otherwise, so I just kept doing it. You know, life is confusing, man. The Big Boy says, Hey Herbert, I've been considering starting bolt action, but I'm not really sure what to start with as I'm still undecided between the US and Germany. Any suggestions on some box sets I could start with? He also adds, I may actually paint my whole army blue, because blue is best colour. I think you'll find pink is the best colour, or red to a lesser extent. I would suggest getting the Band of Brothers starter set if you're having trouble deciding between the US and Germany. That way you get both, and it has the added bonus of including a rulebook and markers and things like that. I'm not very good at deciding on things myself, but I would suggest if you don't want to start with the starter set, just choose a box or maybe two of infantry for the faction you end up choosing and a tank, like a Sherman or a Panzer III or IV. Those are reasonable choices and not too expensive points-wise. You don't really need a tank to play, and I think a lot of people don't bother with them, but I just can't not have a tank. You definitely do need infantry though. German Grenadiers look like a good box set, and I believe they're the same as what comes in the Band of Brothers set. The plastic Fallschirmjäger box looks good too. For the Americans, the US Airborne box looks pretty good. There are some of those in the Band of Brothers box set, and I quite liked them. Of course, it all depends on what sort of infantry you want too. There's a few options like Marines or Airborne or regular old army dudes, Grenadiers or SS or Fallschirmjäger. It's pretty hard to go wrong with Warlord's plastic infantry kits anyway, no matter which one you choose, at least in my experience. Also, you might want to look at the build an army option in the Warlord store. It does cost $120 US, but you get a free tank with it, which seems good. It seems the hard part is deciding on a faction, and then what kind of infantry for that faction to use. Maybe just assign some numbers to them and roll a dice, or flip a coin or something. That was probably no help at all. Mr. Elite Zealot says, still need to get the IS-3, it's pretty good. I played the IS-3 and moved on from it years ago. The Soviet line is the first one I went down in World of Tanks way back in, I don't know, I think it was 2010 or something. It just used to be I didn't keep many tanks. But I do remember the IS-3 being a fun tank. I'm going to have to buy it again and give it a play. You might eventually see a video about it. Shock Squad TV says, what are the chances of some Flames of War battle reports? Thank you for the entertainment. Well, you're welcome. The chances are good, though not until March, I think it's March, when the new edition of Flames of War comes out. Also, I need to sort out some infantry, probably for Germany. The only infantry I actually have for Flames of War at the moment is Soviet and a small amount of American infantry. I suppose I could play a battle like that, so maybe I will. I would like to fight my American army, when it's finished, against a German force. So yeah, probably sometime in March is when you'll see a Flames of War battle report. Gustav 2 Adolf says, Sturv? That stirs my mind, if you get me. Being a Swedish bloke, I can't really say the acronym verbally as it actually becomes longer and more impractical to say. I could either say the 4 letters one by one or the whole word with 2 syllables. Still, I have to be a besserwisser, wiseacre, when it comes to Swedish stuff. And of course, hearing you pronounce foreign words is always amusing. He adds, I think I'm rambling too. You're too influential, I suppose. Anyways, what would you say about playing some World of Tanks some weekend? You could gather a bunch of Erpaderp grunts, subscribers, and have a team battle or something similar. Or what about Minecraft, or anything? Would be fun to play something with the glorious Herbert. Oh, I'm a bad influence. A bad, rambly influence. I completely get what you're saying with the Stridswagen, though I would argue that it is 3 syllables, or at least it is when I say it. I think for me it's just that it would take longer for my brain to see it and process, oh, that's a Stridswagen, if that makes sense. I'm a bit slow, eh? But I'm not from Canada, eh? I find it funny to hear myself slaughtering foreign words. I'm sure it does cause some people's ears to bleed, but I like it, it's amusing. It's funny when I go to restaurants and try to say things on the menu. Last time it was chicken karage. It's delicious, but I'm never quite sure how to say it. Maybe if I order it 4 or 5 more times and then get corrected on my pronunciation, I will get it right. What matters is it's delicious. I'm going out for Persian food tomorrow night, so maybe I'll slaughter their words too. I am pretty keen to play games with people. With World of Tanks, it would require people to have accounts on the Asia server. If you've got one, I'd be happy to play with you. I was actually thinking it would be cool to have a Minecraft server that people could join and do stuff in. I'm not sure I can really justify the cost of getting one of my own though. I had a quick look earlier and it's around $10 a month for a 5-player server, which doesn't seem too bad, but it's only 5 players. Then, I also have no idea how to run a server. At least not a Minecraft server. I'm sure I could work that out though. I'm thinking about playing some Heroes and Generals again, so maybe if people want to join me there it would be fun too. It's really just a matter of gathering people at the same time that can play the same game, on the same server. I was checking out Slack the other day, and I think it might be a good idea to start a Herbert Erpaderp Slack channel or something like that, just for communicating with people that want to game and arranging things like that, or even just to chat and share some pictures or whatever. If anyone's interested in playing some tanks or shooty mans or something, leave a comment or send a PM or get a hold of me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @HerbertErpaderp. It should be linked in the description. If you want me to invite you to Slack, send a private message rather than sharing your email address in the comments. Pug says, "Hey Herbert, what do you use to thin AK Interactive varnish? I bought some of it but have no idea what to use. If I remember correctly, you had some of it?" I do have AK Interactive Ultra Matte Varnish, which I think is pretty great. I've not thinned it before though, because at least in my experience it goes through the airbrush just fine as it is. I guess I would just use water to thin it if I thought it needed thinning. If you do feel it needs to be thinned, I guess try some water and maybe spray it on a test piece, just in case it has any funky side effects or something, but I think it should be fine. Potato Ink says, "Didn't you make a Kettenkrad? Maybe you should paint that pink too." I sure did. That's a good idea. I think it would be even better if I replaced the crew figures with ones that look more like they're driving around and having a fun time. You know, waving their arms around and laughing and just having a real good time. That would be great. Lego World War II Buff says, "Hey Herbert, I would like to know where you got your 28mm AC-1 Sentinel. For bolt action, I presume. I don't have an Australian army or even a British army, but could make it captured by the Germans, because I only have German and American armies, so I don't know why the Americans would have one anyway. If I painted it to be German, it would be German Panzer Grey with an iron cross on each side of the turret, but the big tank dildo, machine gun, would be pink or purple to look like a realistic dildo. Machine gun. Shit, I really messed that one up. Anyway, thanks for producing great content and have a good day. I really like your plans for a Sentinel with realistic machine gun. Having it captured by the Germans is an interesting concept and I would like to see it, no matter the colour of the machine dildo cover thing." Dicks. I got the model from War and Peace Games. I was just browsing their site for other cool things to add to my order of the Plastic Soldier Company 25-pounder and just kind of happened across it. I'll put a link in the description. The store says it's by MBD and sculpted by Mike Broadbent, which I guess is what the M and B stands for. I've heard the name Mike Broadbent before. He's sculpted for some miniatures companies, but other than that, I can't seem to find any other information about this model and where it came from. If anybody else has some ideas, I would like to know. Jacob says, "If you reach 100,000 subscribers, will you remember the actual early subscribers?" I'm pretty sure I will never reach that many subs. It would be cool though. I'm still kind of surprised that I passed 2,000. I like to think I do a good job of remembering people, though I'm pretty forgetful. Of course, I do remember things the more often they happen or the more often I interact with them, so if I do ever reach super high subscriber numbers, I'll probably remember the people that are active, if that makes sense. For those of you who are unaware, on Friday I put up a World of Tanks video featuring the Hetzer. The comments that follow are from that video. If you haven't seen it, you can click the card in the upper right or the link in the description. Mr. Elite Zealot says, "I've been waiting for this. Let's Hetz." Yes, let's. Potato says, "Hetzer's gonna Hetz because Hetzers Hetz things because they Hetz things that oppose the Hetzer. Feel the Hetzer!" Jacob replies, "That's lots of Hetz." It really is a lot of Hetz. But as they say, when you're a Hetzer, all of your problems look like they can be solved with Hetzing. Robzalot says, "How much Hetz would a Hetzer Hetz if a Hetzer could Hetz Hetz? A lot, I'm betting." Well, the Hetzer carries 20 rounds of ammunition, so the Hetzer can Hetz 20 Hetzers, though I believe the real thing could carry more like 40 rounds. That's a lot of Hetzing indeed. Top Bunk Productions says, "That's it. When I get a Cromwell for bolt action, I shall paint it like a police car just like Wheel intended." Yes, I would really like to see that. It would be a totally obscure reference for just about anyone that saw it, but I still think it's funny. Gustav 2 Adolf says, some further knowledge of Swedish for you. Hets is the Swedish word for torment, and it's pronounced exactly the same as hets. So translated, tormentors gonna torment. The box of the Rubicon Hetzer says that Hetzer meant beta, which does have its own amusing connotations, but I like Tormentor a lot more than beta. Tormentor really fits the vehicle. Thanks for sharing, that was interesting. On Thursday, I uploaded a video about my summer car. Again, you can watch it by clicking the card in the upper right or the link in the description. Joe's Model Kits says, this looks like a great little game. Where do you find these games? Is there a central place for them, or do you just search around the web for them? Maybe do a video on finding fun games on the web for idiots like me. Have fun and enjoy the rest of the weekend. I think it's a pretty good game. It's definitely not for everybody though. As for where I found it, this game in particular, I saw Cam and Alex from Loading Ready Run stream it and it appealed to me, so I figured I might as well give it a try. I also saw some videos about it by Robaz, the King of Sweden. The game is available on Steam, and I bought it because it was heavily discounted. I would say that Steam is probably the closest thing to a central place for games like this. Or any games really. There's thousands of games on there, from the newest AAA games to complete and utter garbage that nobody should ever play, so I guess be careful there. The main way I find new games to play is usually seeing other people play them, either via Twitch streams or on YouTube, or maybe a friend will tell me about them, but it's mostly from watching streams or YouTube. I don't so much search for games, but if I do see something on my internet travels that looks fun, I might give it a go. Borharms says, this game is awesome, I have it myself. You should find and drive the muscle car. It's pretty cool but somewhat uncontrollable. Somewhat uncontrollable? That's an understatement. At this point I've played quite a few hours of the game. It's just a matter of editing down what I've done into episodes. And I have driven the muscle car. It looks cool, but it's frustrating to try and drive. And booze doesn't help. Here's a picture. As you can see, I treated the car very well. The Big Boy says, that was some skillful driving. Lewis Hamilton now has to watch out. I have no idea who Lewis Hamilton is. I assume he's some kind of racing car driver, but he should really watch out, because Herbert's about. The driving in this game is actually a little bit stressful. It's not that bad, but it's bouncy and you can very easily just die. I guess that's kind of like real life, isn't it? Maybe not so much bouncy, but you really can just be instantly killed when driving. It's kind of scary if you think about it, so I try not to. Matthias Kellerman says, that has to be one of the worst games I have ever seen. It seems far too much like the tedium of real life. Then again, I'm not a Finn or a mechanic and I do not live in a forest, so it's nothing like my tedious reality. I can totally see why you would feel that way, though I think games like, say, Tow Truck Simulator are much worse. Part of the appeal this game has for me is that it's just something different. I mean, you're not running around shooting dudes or whatever like a lot of games, and it's not competitive and it's not demanding. If you want, you can just dick around doing your own thing, and I quite like it when games let you do that. Granted, I don't think it will have long-term playability for me, unless they keep adding stuff. To be honest, I'm not really sure how to describe why I like it. I don't care about cars, and I wouldn't try to build one in real life, but I kind of want to put that car together just to see if I can do it. I guess I've gotten into games that others find tedious before, the biggest one being EVE Online. I kind of missed that game. I spent way too much time in that game, and a lot of that time was doing tedious shit like trading and alliance logistics, but there was some amazing times too. But even then, some of the amazing, huge, news-making space battles we had were really slow and tedious to actually play. But still, amazing fun. I guess I'm kind of starting to ramble. I just think it's good that there's games that all sorts of people can enjoy. So of course My Summer Car is definitely not a game for everyone, and that's perfectly fine. By the way, I appreciate this kind of, I guess negative is too strong a word for it, this I don't like it comment. Rather than when people say things like, don't play this, it's garbage because I don't like it. Rrrr. Anyway, play the games you like, don't play the ones you don't. It makes sense to me. Hi, I'm Herbert, and I ramble, and it's only going to get worse as I get older. Top Bunk Productions says, I'm sure you'll get your car built before the icy grip of the Finnish winter claims you, and also before that gas station owner calls the police. You know, it would be kind of interesting if you had to deal with the winter in this game. It would probably be quite frustrating actually, and I'd probably insta-die on icy roads. There is weather though, so maybe I just haven't played it enough to see the snow. I don't think there is snow, kind of hoping not. And that gas station owner calling the police doesn't scare me, I can deal with them, I assume. Another video that went up on Friday was Herbert Erpaderp's Quick Tips, in which I demonstrated washing a resin model, link in the description and in the upper right corner. Boar Harms says, I do not always wash my models, but when I do, I usually leave the sprues in soapy water for a couple of hours and then rinse them off. I just realised that this comment unintentionally turned into an I don't always meme. You mean like this? I was amused by this anyway. Top Bunk Productions says, I never wash my plastic models. I never felt a need to, and they've turned out alright as far as I'm concerned. I very rarely wash my plastics too. Usually it doesn't seem like there's a need, and I've never had an issue either, though every now and then I come across some models that are just really greasy feeling, for lack of better words, so I wash them. It is quite rare though, I just figured it would be worth mentioning. I'm sure most people can use their own judgment for it. Yet another scout says, where did you find that Sentinel kit? Can't wait to see what you do with yours, but I guess there will be no childish jokes because we are all mature adults. Not really, dong tank. Heh, dicks. Like I said before, I found the model at War and Peace Games, and there's a link in the description. My plan is to try and paint it the way it appears in the museum in Cairns. I'm not sure if that's how it was painted when it was tested or whatever, and I'm pretty sure it never saw service, but it must have at least been painted in some manner. I will definitely be completely mature and sensible when I do videos about that tank, because I'm a mature dick tank. Road Warrior John says, I usually tape the sprues to my car and then head to the car wash, but I always lose parts or entire sprues. That seems entirely in character for somebody named Road Warrior John. Maybe you should invest in some stronger glue. Lights and Siren says, I believe that's how your name is meant to be said anyway. I usually let mine soak for a while if they don't look too porous. Do you think there is a drawback to that? I don't know for sure. I don't think there's a drawback to leaving the models to soak in water. I just don't think it really provides an additional benefit. I kind of assume the scrubbing does a lot of the work. But like I said, I'm not an expert. Warrior Mies says, until the metal parts showed up, I was sure the tank was 3D printed. I had a roll of PLA once that pretty much had exactly that look to it. It's definitely resin. It actually looks a lot like the resin I use myself, which is easy cast from Barnes. It might even be a small cottage industry type operation doing these castings. I couldn't find a lot of information about where the model came from, so I don't know. Martin Strickfuss says, Gee, Herbert, you should rinse in hot water. Cold water can reset any of the release agent. He then corrects his spelling, but I thought chi was funnier. I had no idea the release agent could be reset by cold water. That's interesting. Good thing the water that usually comes out of my tap is warm, if not scalding hot. Never thought I would say that's a good thing. Monday's modelling video was the newly released Plastic Soldier Company British 25-pounder and quad tractor kit, which, by the way, is quite good. Comments from that video follow. Top Bunk Productions says, smashing work! Those Jerrys won't know what hit them. To which Ethan Ton replies, oh, they'll know Churchill's personal brand of justice when it hits them. They just won't see when it happens. I can imagine those Jerrys shouting something like, fucking artillery, and then rushing off to the Führer to ask him to nerf artillery, or something. Panzerman's Bunker says, good build of the Morris tractor. You should add the figures to the next one. More interesting than just the transport mode. Curious to see it painted. Gustav 2 Adolf agrees and asks if I ever had the Airfix 25-pounder and Morris tractor. I don't believe I ever had that model. I might have when I was a kid and forgotten about it, but I doubt it. I mostly had tanks. I'll probably end up using the crew figures on the base I make for these guns. I might try to organise it so they look as though they're about to set the gun up or something like that. Personally, I think it looks more interesting in transport mode. I'm pretty sure most people will build theirs in firing mode, so mine might be a bit different, which I think is cool. I would say it also allows me to avoid painting the figures, but I guess I'll have to paint them anyway if I do use them on the bases. Robsalot says, looks like a fun kit to build, and should look good in game. I notice you drill out gun barrels when you think it's appropriate. What type of drill is it? Something I can Google, as I'd like to acquire one. The handle is known as a pin vise. You should be able to find them at a variety of places at reasonable prices. The drill bit is just a regular old drill bit. I got mine as part of a pinning kit, so you might look for one of those. It might be more cost effective than buying a pin vise by itself. Fog of War says, I backed this on Kickstarter, but only got them just before Christmas. I've not had an opportunity to build mine yet. I did film a quick inbox review, but I'll build them soon. It was good to see the assembly. I noticed the fit of the parts was so tight the gun posts actually broke the trunnions. I might have to shave mine to avoid this. I am tempted to not build the limbers, which will give me enough wheels to build 8 guns from this box. Interestingly, this plastic kit is much more delicate than the Battlefront resin and metal versions, so it will be interesting to see if the Battlefront 25 pounders will be chunky as well. Good job. Thanks for the preview. I did see your inbox preview. It increased my temptation to buy these. I didn't actually notice the trunnions were broken until after I'd built the model. I saw the plastic go a bit white from stress and start to crack, but not go all the way through, and it was too late to go back and pull the pieces apart by that point because they were already covered in glue. Oh well, it could have been a lot worse. Shaving the gun posts and axles for the wheels is definitely a good idea. I haven't built all the limbers myself. I'm contemplating making some molds of the wheels so I can cast extras in resin. I'll have to buy some more silicone though before I can start that. I think the Battlefront plastic kit is bound to be at least a little more chunky than this kit. That would be consistent with their other plastic offerings. I'm excited to see them anyway. Joe's Model Kits says, are you going to review the Plastic Soldier Company 1/72nd scale version of this kit? I don't plan to at the moment. I don't play any games in 1/72nd scale, so I don't see much point. I would be curious to see if the build is any different though. If I had the spare cash for it, I would definitely do it, but at the moment it would be like buying the same kit twice when I don't need to. Actually, it's not like that at all, that's exactly what it is. But never say never, maybe one day I will buy it. Mr. Elite Zealot says, Herbert, have you played Men of War Assault Squad? If you haven't, then the game is about World War II and it's pretty realistic. It's an RTS game. I do have Men of War Assault Squad 2 in my Steam library. It's not installed yet though, but it's downloading now. I feel like giving it a go. Should be fun. I've never actually played it, it's just been sitting in my Steam library for probably 2 years now. And finally, on the Pink Panther video I did a couple of weeks ago, Lee D. Chang says, reminds me of this tank I saw at the local AFV club exhibition. I just couldn't not share this. This is a whole load of what the fuck. I mean, it's hideous and amazing and mostly what the fuck. I mean, it looks to be relatively well painted. Also, it kind of looks like a cake. I'd eat a cake like that. Thank you so much for sharing this, it gave me a good laugh. And with that, this week's episode of Hammer Time, Ask a Herbert Erpaderp, draws to a close. If you have any questions you would like answered in next week's Ask a Herbert Erpaderp, be sure to put them in the comments section below. Also, don't forget to do all the YouTubey things such as liking and subscribing if you haven't already. And if you really like the videos I make, please consider helping to support the channel via Patreon. Patrons get to see my videos a little early along with some bonus patron-only content. If you want to check that out, there's a link in the description and on screen now. As always, I shall return soon, so until then, happy whatever it is you're doing, and thanks for watching. Farewell.